Peace and power, peace and power. I am back. I just wanted to get on here so we can try to finish this book. We have not finished and we need to. I light my little incense and get on here, read a little bit. Uh, oh, no. People just be wilding. Oh no. Okay, y'all, I'm back. So we are getting into the book. Um, 41 Shades of Men. I was going to say 50 Shades of Grey. Don't mind me. Um, we are on chapter 19, and this is about the green card man. And so I'm going to just keep reading the chapters tonight. I'm not just going to keep stopping. So again, we're reading the 41 Shades of Men, and we are on chapter 19, the green card man. We're going to get into it. I just want to put it on the screen. And we all dealt with the green card man. I think. I don't know. I am of a certain age group, and so Africans, or and that's all I've come in contact with, they will try to get you to marry them for a green card. My cousin, may she rest in power, married for a green card for somebody. And so it's very common. The green card man, we ready? We ready. Okay, so chapter 19. I think that we should give visas slash green cards rather to people who graduate with skills that we need. People around the world with accredited degrees in science and math get a green card taped to their diploma. Come to the US of A, we should make sure our legal system works. Mm, I don't know what he's talking about. This should be rather short chapter because everyone should be familiar with this guy. This is the guy that speak a no English and according to Donald Trump lives in a hellhole country and who so desperately wants to get out. By any means will they get to the Americas, even if it means marrying you to do it. The best chick to marry is an old and elderly white woman who wants to feel young again. So in exchange for his green card, he has to give her a little sugar sugar. I have seen this all too many times, lol. If you are a Martin Lawrence fan on his hit 90s show, Martin, the landlord Lewis needed a green card and arranged a fake marriage between he and Pam so he wouldn't get deported. You should already be on game with the foreigner. They are in your inboxes on Facebook and Instagram running the same email hustles on you about being Prince of Zamunda and sending you 20 million Zuma if you take their hand in marriage. Here is a mother who reached out to an author at the New York Times seeking advice for her daughter. My adult daughter met a nice young man. They went for a hike. He brought along a man from an Eastern European country. here on a work visa. There was chemistry between my daughter and this man, and they started spending time together. The original guy immediately stepped aside. Fast forward, after a particularly fun hike and dinner, the Eastern European man said they should plan a backpacking trip. They appeared to be on the path toward love, and my daughter was very happy. The next day, he asked her to marry him so he can get a green card. She was stunned and hurt. He was heartless in his response to her, and then he ghosted her. My daughter is licking her wounds and embarrassed to have fallen for this scam. Love is a man's power card. They know they are incapable of it. They just need you to believe that they are. As long as women continue believing in a romanticized version of love and they keep believing males are capable of it, they will fall victim to all of these games. My advice: make your money, charge him a fee for that marriage and green card. Tax him, but just don't let the income tax guy come swindle you out of your coins. Okay, so that was chapter 19, the green card man. I think I am going to just cut this video short. It's no need in now I'm gonna keep it going. Okay, so we are on chapter 20. So chapter 20 is the let me make my ex jealous man. So let me make my I hope not. I hope it ain't no let me make my ex jealous man. This is crazy. So we are on chapter 20, and I'm hoping I have never run into a let me make my ex jealous man, and I'm grateful because that's how people get hurt. You shouldn't be out here trying to make nobody jealous. Like, why? And again, this is hmm, chapter 20. And I'm just trying to put it on the screen so I can mark it. So we are on chapter 20 of the 41 Shades of Men. And this chapter is the let me make my ex jealous man. Jealousy is a disease. Love is a healthy condition. The immature mind often mistakes one for the other, or assumes that the greater the love, the greater the jealousy. In fact, they are almost incompatible. One emotion hardly leaves room for the other. And that is a quote from Robert A. Heinlein, Stranger in a Strange Land. Now, if you have this book, there's a strong chance that you have heard me say men are incapable of love. Males are territorial, and being territorial is about ownership and possession. Love is neither ownership nor is it possession. Males also have a weak and fragile ego slash weak self identities. They depend heavily on the outside influences to make them feel valuable and worthy. When their sense of ownership is dismantled and their identity is shattered, only in this state can jealousy exist, thrive, and flourish. Males also depend heavily on projection to protect their own egos. So, a woman who breaks up with a male effectively impacts him in several crumple zones. She dismantles his sense of ownership, thus showing her level of strength and willpower. And this willpower and strength mirrors back to him the deficiencies within himself in regard to his own strength. She also has impacted his self of importance. All of this triggers jealousy. By choosing herself, she has sent a subconscious message to him that she is of more importance than he is. Males need to feel important because they are born in this world without a strong biological purpose. They don't have the necessary tools, personality, or character traits to move forth a purpose if they have one. They need to feel important. Their need to feel important will cause them to behave in a way to get that feeling. A person's outer world is a reflection of their inner world. So if a person is wanting to make you feel jealous, it is because they are jealous themselves and want to make you feel the same feeling that they feel. When a woman breaks up with a male, he will seek to quickly replace her and make it publicly known who he is dating. The new woman he will praise, spoil, and do many public appearances. The entire reason is to make the ex jealous. I remember being in an altercation with a woman who was the sister of the guy I was living with at the time. There was an altercation because her boyfriend used me as a tool to ignite jealousy within her. This was neither a male I was interested in nor dating. Nothing of the sort. I didn't even know the guy. The only thing I knew about this guy is that he dated her. One day I was standing alone in the park looking at my phone. The park was a couple of houses down from where she lived. The guy came up to me, stood next to me, and asked me for directions to somewhere and then left. This took all of 3 minutes at most. Later on that day, I got a hit in the face out of nowhere. Who hit me? His girlfriend. She thought I was trying to talk to her bum boyfriend, only to find out later that he was using me as a tool to make her jealous. When he approached me, he knew she was watching him. She knew I was standing alone, and when she found out, she later apologized. Women have an unhealthy obsession with males who cannot do much for them. Interestingly enough, there are several pieces of advice online that tell people how to make their exes jealous. And all of the advice given, the common piece of advice is to be with someone else. To be with someone else. Pose with people who would make your ex jealous and share them online. The use of other people to make someone jealous is key. As a woman, you should never allow someone to use you as a tool to terrorize another woman. The only way you would allow something like that to take place is your need to feel important and validated. With that, you should do some self work. And her advice is do not volunteer to be a weapon used in the destruction of another woman. Don't feel superior because he gasses you up to do it. She is not your enemy. He is the enemy to himself, her, and you. All right, so we are on chapter 21, The Pimp. The There's a lot going on. Chapter 21, The Pimp. Okay. So we're reading 41 Shades of Grey. We are just gonna do a couple of chapters since I get tired of talking. So the next chapter is chapter 21, The Pimp. Women say they want a man who knows a woman's worth. That's a pimp. That's a quote by Rich Hall. The entire pimp game is based on seeking out women to use for all the internal value they possess. The use for the pimp's own personal gain, whatever he sees fit. You will hear people saying all the time, you never see an old hoe, but there will always be pimping. I mean, you will never see an old hoe, but there will always be an old pimp. Why? Because men literally suck the life out of a woman. The longer a woman is connected to a male, the more life force energy she loses. Males are attracted to life force energy. This is why they want them young. Years on the track sucks that life out of her. The pimp is a master at this direct energy transfer. He is the This is who the average black male aspires to be. The pimp is not interested in having sex with a woman. As a matter of fact, the pimp is the most disciplined of males. He is highly effective at controlling his sex drive. The intent and purpose of the pimp is to get women to provide him with a lifestyle of leisure via the use of her sex, money, youth, and beauty. The pimp specializes in psychological manipulation to get a woman to voluntarily drain her own life force energy and freely hand it over to the depleted male. A pimp ain't a pimp without hoes. The pimp does not provide a hoe with a return on investment. When you hear an average male claim that he is a when you hear the average male claim that he's not a simp, or you hear him accuse another male of being a simp, what he is essentially doing is showing you he looks up to the pimp. A simp, the exact opposite of a pimp, a sucker impersonating a Mac or a pimp. This means that they have every intention on doing to you in a relationship what the pimp does to the hoe, drain you of your value. The pimp is looking for you to invest in him. Once you invest in him, he feels he has the power to bend you to give him more and more. You will know you are encroaching on the game when he tries to get you to give him something. Loan him money, buy him a gift, let him borrow your car, etc. These are all forms of investment that lets him know you have bought into him. I know a lot about pimps because I've had two associates who were pimps. One of them I am still cool with. The other I completely disassociated with. Why? Because he used my friendship as a way to play chess and flank me from an unexpected angle. He did not try to cross me like he would cross a hoe on the blade. He wasn't asking me for a choosing fee or anything. He posed as a friend for 5 long years with a motive in mind for how he wanted to use me. Yes, he was an avid chess player who won many championships since he was in elementary school. He tried to set me up to take large sums of money from me on the idea of a business partnership that was not centered around or inclusive of sex. It was centered around podcasting, needless to say. You see, I am also a solo podcaster. I remember before I chose to start the high power podcast, I was going to buy my own semi truck since I was in the trucking industry for 6 years. I met the last guy I dated who was a millionaire who owned trucks. He was the actual straw that broke the camel's back. Anyway, I would get some trucking game from him and start my own thing. I started the LLC and all. I had the paperwork sitting on my counter, and my pimp friend saw the paperwork and asked where his name was on it. I'm supposed to be half of the owner of this company. You need to put my name on here, he says. Excuse me, I say. He said he didn't even drive trucks or have anything to do with the trucking industry. Yet he felt that any business I would do, I was supposed to have him as 49% owner. Yes, I caught on to his game quickly once he began to show blatant signs of a setup. Pimping is about using women to put money in your pocket. She doesn't have to use sex to get the money. She just has to see the male as a person to give all of her money to from whatever endeavor she is into. To make a long story short, I caught on to his game just before he was able to successfully set me up, and I severed ties with him. Of course, this completely infuriated him. I didn't care because at this point, life has made me a master of male psychology, and he was next to the final straw of dealings with males. Many pimps have high Machiavellian personality traits. I will speak more on the Machiavellian personality traits later in this book. Much of this game has been given in Iceberg Slim's Pimp and Pimpin' Ken 48 Laws of Game Pimpology. My advice: do not give males anything at all. Baby, baby, This book is deep. This book is deep. Okay, so now we are on chapter 22, the businessman. All right, so we are on chapter 22, the businessman. Women will never be as successful as men because they have no wives to advise them. And that is a quote from Dick Van Dyke. If you listen to any male who praises a woman, you will hear how he needs her for him to be successful. He speaks on his need to tap into her energy so that he may have success and direction. He speaks of needing her to speak life into him and be his inspiration for accomplishment. He is practically incapable of accomplishing anything without a woman. The businessman knows he needs the woman and he seeks to use her specifically for his personal elevation. He needs you to support him in every way and give your energy and presence to his cause. This can be risky. If you do not firmly plant your feet into this work, many times these guys don't have an income to take them where they want to go. They need seed money. They will get you to work and put them through law school, med school, or fund their business. Once he's accomplished that, he trades you in for someone more sexually and mysteriously desirable to him. This is a high risk gamble. Marrying him does not ensure the risk free investment. You need to be sure that you deal with this man as a business deal and not a marriage based on shallow idea of your love or you just selfishly helping your boyfriend. There is a woman, an attorney on TikTok, who gave women a public service warning about trusting their husband. Her husband was a businessman and was into real estate. Over the course of their 25-year marriage, they purchased property together, or so she thought, until she found out during their divorce that she owned nothing and would get half of nothing. Why? Because the entire 25-year marriage, her husband was setting her up. He played on the fact and used the advantage of love and marriage to gain his wife's blind trust. He would show her a house and tell her that they were getting it for their portfolio, and she trusted him because they were married. He would then always catch her while she was busy and have her sign a bunch of papers. What she did not realize is he was having her to sign papers that transferred all of the ownership to him as an individual. So when he was ready to divorce her, she didn't get any of the properties. They obtained over 50 properties during the course of 25 years. He needed her to build himself. These type of males have a dark psychology personality type, often referred to as Machiavellian. This is named after the Italian diplomat Niccolo Machiavelli. Machiavelli detailed the slick and ruthless ways of obtaining and keeping money, power, and status. One of the traits of a Machiavellian is patience for long periods waiting time. The Machiavellian will make a plan and work it for as long as he needs to get the desired end result. Here in the example above, play a patient 25 years game on his wife. Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich, made it clear that scientific evidence shows that the most successful men are influenced by women. Men have to tap into the power of a woman to catapult themselves to a high degree of success. You will know who this guy is if he has a legitimate idea and is heavily focused on the need for a woman to do business. It is the woman that needs the help and support from. It's the woman that he needs help and support from. But in many cases, they do not want to give you anything for your labor. They are selfish by nature, and when you are dealing with them, you need to make sure You need to make sure you put your trust in legalities and not in him. I found the following post on Facebook that was short conversation between a woman and a wealthy and successful businessman. Her, I asked the billionaire how he did it. He said, forget about the girls and focus on one woman. She will help you achieve everything. The intention is not to build a strong, happy, or loving relationship with another human being. It is to use you to fulfill their self interest. Her advice is do not go into a relationship with a man focusing on emotional highs and lows. Position yourself to reap the financial benefits of your labor. Your time, energy, and help is not free. Don't let him guilt trip you into believing that it is. Okay. She got that. Baby. Okay, so we are on chapter 23. Hold on, let me share this with somebody. I'm like, you heard, she said what she said. That's what I'm saying. She said what she said. Okay, so we are we on chapter, hold on. All right, so we on chapter 23. The 41 Shades of Men, and this is the political man. So I'm just gonna put the chapter in the chat so we can mark it. But baby, she just roasted the other man. So this is a political man. We just read about the businessman using your energy to get to the top and then finding somebody else. I can relate. I feel that's how I felt. Okay, so chapter 23, the political man. Politics is the art of looking for trouble, finding it everywhere, diagnosing it incorrectly, and applying the wrong remedies. And that's a quote from Groucho Marx. This man is very much like the businessman, except his area is politics. Marriage is an unwritten rule for high ranking political officials. For example, there has been an unmarried president since 1884 for 130 years. All presidents have been married. Marriage creates the image of stability, maturity, and responsibility. This image holds heavy in the mind of the GOP as well as its voters. And let me just make sure. Yeah, girl, let me get out of here. Okay. Um, I ran across an article written by a politician's girlfriend, Chloe Angel. She states she is a member of the Legislative League, an organization in Iowa that is designed for the political wives of that region. She proclaims to have been the youngest member and the only member who was not yet married to the politician she was with. In the article, she specifically states that the requirement of the political wife, I quote, political wifery requires doing the things that have long been expected of women, that they shelve their own ambitions in the service of someone else. They show up shore up, shut up, and smile. She goes on to further say that the political wife might also be the most influential advisor or her partner has. The political wife might also be the most influential advisor his or her partner has. Okay. Um, she goes on to further say that a political wife might also be the most influential advisor his or her partner has. And soft power, the ability to humanize a candidate or help them network and build goodwill with voters and fellow politicians, is real power. Michelle Obama was recorded recently professing to having given up her life to be a foundation for Barack. Um, Priscilla's advice is if a man is in politics and wants you to be his long term partner, the reality is he needs you to be on the foundation of his political front and you serve a purpose to push forth his goals and his goals only. Position yourself to get your goals accomplished. Investing is something that will benefit you. And so that was chapter 23, The Political Man of 41 Shades of Men. We're going to keep going to chapter 24. And this is about the Bah Man, BAH. And so I don't know what that stands for, but I bet it's something kind of drastic. The B A H. Uh-uh. H. Man. So we're on chapter 24, the BAH man. The money game is not like any other game. You cannot choose whether you'll play, for the money game is the only game in town. And that's a quote by Vanita Van Caspel. So, you decide you want to become a soldier. You pack up your bags and head to basic training. You pass boot camp and now are an enlisted soldier. It was terrible spending 3 months in a bay with 60 other people, only to now be relegated to the barracks after enlistment to your permanent duty station. You're also not getting paid that much, but you do get a hot and a cot. You walk around the base and see other high ranking people getting paid more and being able to live off the base. You would love to do the same, but in you're just a buck private. What in the world would be the solution to such undesirable circumstance? Ha, you get married. Why is that the solution? Well, it's simple. If you have a family, you can't stay in the barracks because your family will most likely be with you at your permanent duty station. So, as a result of having a wife, you will qualify for basic allowance housing. As a married soldier, the military will pay you extra to live off base or post. This is a strong incentive for a guy who wants extra money to live off base. The pay is also increased if you station overseas or to a combat zone. All of your pay increases. Isn't this wonderful incentive to tie the knot? Many military men up and get married solely for these benefits, and they do not have any other attachment to each other besides this. Most likely, this will be done between military soldiers, but could be also done between a soldier and a civilian. The civilian will not likely know this in his chief motivation. I knew several soldiers in the military who pulled this. A close friend of mine is one of them. He and his significant other married solely for the extra money. They didn't even talk. They did their own thing, and when the significant other fell short, a divorce and alimony stunt was pulled. The spouse eventually committed suicide due to the inability to deal with his life. Another friend of mine, a soldier, married and another soldier. They got the same benefits. However, their relationship was riddled in problems. She called me back in 2014 and I gave her wisdom she wasn't ready to hear at the time. She was in a relationship all by herself. Needless to say, they finally divorced around 2021 after she began to embody the reality. Please believe he put her through hell. He tried to destroy her credit, brought another woman into the house, brought terror to the children and all. He did it simply because she took the power and left him. My advice, if you marry a military man, understand he is getting paid extra to have you as a wife. He gets monetary incentives from the organization, slave benefits from the wife, sexual release, and the ability to still get sex behind her back. All of this at the expense of the woman. Make sure you set yourself up to win and do not believe for 1 second love has anything to do with this. Baby, I didn't know military men get paid more if they get married. She just put y'all on. Why she put us on like that? I didn't know that. So all the military men that are in your DMs, they might just be trying to get a pay increase and a free house. These are the games we play. All right, y'all, we're going right on. This is chapter 25. Might as well because we're here. Ain't no use in keep stopping. I never get this book done. And everybody know my attention span ain't gonna let me be great. Chapter 25 is the murder man. Oh my goodness. Child, this getting deep. The murder man. Like what? Now she done just told y'all about the bar man. That's the military man that marries you for extra money. This is the murder man. Let's see what the murder man talking about. Chapter 25, the murder man. The first time I killed somebody, it was such a rush. It was just like that. A shot of dope every time I did it. And that's a quote by Tommy Lynn Sells. His mother treated him horribly, abandoned him, starved him of affection, and neglected him for what he felt like was one of the least importance to him. She had dark hair, light complexion, 5'6", and slender. He has always wanted to get revenge on such a woman. Interestingly enough, you look just like her. As a matter of fact, you have a striking similarity that triggers these feelings of revenge. He is a throwaway to society and no one really cares about him, and he's an easy target. He was picked on. No girl or woman has ever showed interest in him. He is a reject, a shelved artist with a disappointed existence. Here you come, a triggered image of revenge. These males are psychopaths and are not approaching you at all because they like you or want to love you. They have a desire to inflict pain on you or to perhaps take your life away from you. Jealousy, rage, envy, or just a sick perversion creates this desire in them to pursue you. Every man isn't coming to you because he's attracted to you and just wants to spoil you. He's approaching you just because he wants something from you or to do something to you, which in turn gives him a feeling of euphoria or vindication. Let's take the serial killer Samuel Little. He confessed to killing 93 people, nearly all women, between 1970 and 2005. He had a distinctive profile of a woman he pursued, all with the intent of killing them. Of course, the victims were unaware of his intentions. He pursued women who society would miss and who led night lives. He enjoyed strangling them. Andrew Tate, former professor, kickboxer, was caught telling a woman that he enjoyed raping her. The more she fought back and denied him, the more it turned him on. There was a post that went viral in 2015 where males were telling women to just lay there and let a man rape them if they got raped. Women were noticeably upset because of this. However, What they didn't realize is that the males were telling them that the act of fighting back increased the incitement within them. Playing dead was what the cartoon characters used to do to deter wild animals. There is a scene in the movie Ice Age where the animals saw a preying hawk flying above them and they instantly played dead to deter the hawk from attacking them. This is the exact same strategy of the males. We're suggest the This is the same strategy that the males were suggesting women pull on men who will proceed to rape them. If she doesn't fight back, the male will not get his thrill and excitement of obtaining power over her by physically overpowering her. Ted Bundy had an obsession with killing college women. He lured the women with vulnerable approach. He enjoyed raping and strangling them. John Norman Collins, suspected of killing 8 or more women, had pronounced revulsion for menstruating women. Several of the women he killed were on their cycles at the time he killed them. Edmund Kemper enjoyed preying on hitchhiking women. At age 15, he murdered his grandmother. It is reported he murdered at least 6 co-ed females and beheading them. Mark Lippin, the man who hated women, killed 14 women and smiled throughout each attack. It is said that he grew up nursing severe grudges against women and feminism in particular. It is said that he called a group of males and females into a classroom and separated them into 2 groups. He told the group of males to leave and killed the 6 of the 9 women who remained by gunshot. He left a suicide note listing all the political women he wanted to murder before he died. He blamed women for his life failures and his insignificance to society. This last example is definitely something of which to take notice. As radical male podcasts and the growing pool of single, lonely males continue to rise, the conversation regarding women's safety becomes more center stage. Matricide, infanticide, and femicide rates are rapidly increasing as these social structures continue to collapse. The males are angry, disenfranchised, and lost. People like Kevin Samuels and Andrew Tate only encourage behaviors such as these to persist. My advice, this is Prince Sellers' advice, be very careful with just assuming a male is approaching because he thinks you're attractive. Learn to quiet your mind and tune into your intuition. Use the 5 components of love to pierce the veil of deception and heighten your intuition. And so every man that come across you and try to holler at you is just not there for your highest good. You can't assume because that's what you've placed in your mind. Some males are coming to harm. Lisa said, yes, it is. What it is, Lisa? Shout out to Lisa, my friend. She here with us. But yeah, not every man is here to assist or help. You cannot just say, oh, he was trying to talk to me, so he wants the best for me. That's not true. A lot of men are jealous of women's success, and it is what it is. So we're going into chapter 26. And chapter 26 is the fetish man. I wonder what you got to say about the fetish man. Okay. So, the fetish man. Fetish is the exploration of sex as art and the refinement of one's personal desires. Anything can be fetish. There'll be new fetishes forever. I feel that the 21st century is all about fetish. And that was a quote from Rick Castro. Humans are interesting creatures. We don't realize we are because the artificial, socially constructed population has regulated human nature into the shadows. However, since the new days of the internet, it's much easier to find the shadows of a human nature. All you have to do is locate a forum and Viola, the shadow. For a long time, humans have tried to force sexuality into a black and white box. Black and white are the only absolute colors on the spectrum. There are no other absolutes. Sexuality is one of those things that is not absolute. Attempting to box it into an absolute has never worked. However, the powers that be, through the control of media and media outlets, led the populace to believe otherwise. In the shadows, people can really be who they are without public ridicule. In the underground, people can also find exactly the type of person they need to fulfill the sexual fetishes. In the underground, you would discover websites you had no clue existed. The fetishes can be great and many. They range from toe licking to passing gas in a jar and selling it. That sounds crazy, I know. However, I promise there's a lady on TikTok who is currently being paid thousands of dollars to perform sexual fantasies for males. One of her clients is a high ranking military officer who likes to pass gas in a mason jar and send it to him. Who likes her to pass gas in a mason jar and send it to him. I believe he paid $700 for it. Listen, some of these ladies are really taxing the guys. I can't. I can't. I can't. So somebody's selling poops in a jar. That's what y'all saying? I cannot. Okay. There are guys who like to feed obese chicks and eating the booty like groceries. Whatever the case, the fetish guy is using you for a fetish. This is obvious in this case. However, there are average, everyday, regular dudes who approach women because they see them as fetishes. They want them as fetishes but don't have a fetish money. So they get in relationships with them. They are getting in the relationship because they cannot afford to just pay her for the fetish, and they may also need for an ego boost and a place to stay. So this is potentially a triple threat intention. Therefore, for him, it's best to get in a relationship because relationship means free access to all of these needs and wants. How to know if he fetishizes you? He obsessively speaks about an odd trait about you. If you pay very close attention to his subconscious speaking patterns, it will be the first thing he mentions and something he mentions quite frequently at different times in the future. He expresses constant sexual fantasies that include your type. Obsessively preoccupied with the thoughts of your type. You can observe this in his speech or preferences he brings attention to on his social media posts. My advice, this is Prince Sellers' advice. Always remember, as a woman, you are a resource. You are providing and servicing a need. Do not deal with this male unless you know exactly what you're getting in return and make it worth your while. And that is the male that fetishizes, even if it's your feet. You want to, don't let that man abuse your feet. You are walking around here with feet cramps. Can't. I can't. You walking around here with feet cramps because you having to service this man with your feet, child. I can't. The pro black hotel man. The pro black hotel man. That's the next chapter. I never liked the hotel man. It's like, baby, what you standing for? It's always giving suspicious. The pro black hotel man. So we are on chapter 27, and this is the black hotel man. The pro black hotel man. We was kings. And this is a quote, every delusional participant in this sector. Since before the civil rights movement in 1964, black people had come up with ways to feel good about themselves and their identity. This was motivated by the destructive philosophy of racism and politics. During this time, the Nation of Islam made its mark with figureheads like Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali. The Black Christian Church also had its figureheads with Martin Luther King Jr., The civil rights movement made a lane for the prevalence of the consciousness movement that would proceed to dominate in the 80s and early 90s. Moving into the 70s after the civil rights movement is when the steam began to build up. There was the Black Panther Party, Afros, and James Brown with I'm Black and I'm Proud. This image and movement was needed during the time of Jim Crow, redlining, and the projects. The political policies made life even more difficult for blacks because the environment was harsh and artificial. While America was not knowledgeable about the effects environment has on living organisms. They didn't think deeply. They just followed along with the psychological program of superiority they've been indoctrinated with for centuries. White people voted for political parties against black people that were rooted in their psychological programming, which created the artificial environment black people live in. As a result, black people had a bad look on them because of these racist policies, which acted as a stimulus in creating a negative response in their behavioral patterns. These historical atrocities left black people with severely fragmented egos, and ego development is important for personal development before one can overcome the self. Moving forward into the new age of identity for black people spawned even more sectors for this identity confusion. The sectors include, but are not limited to, ancient Moors, Muslims, Hebrew Israelites, Sabians, Kermits, Five Percenters, New Wapian Nation, Pan Africans, and most recently added to the list is Carbon Nation. These different sectors of identity fall within the dynamic of the love and belonging region in Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. Remember, this is a lower nature deficiency need. The male's ego is in constant need of boosting and protection. Identity is severely important to him. Therefore, all of these sectors too are rooted in patriarchal philosophy, which means that they are male dominated and centered. Now, as a result of the psychological abuse and endured by black people as a whole, alongside male nature, black males hijacked the movement and focused on the advancement of the black male. This largely excluded women's plight and contribution. The motivation for a pro-black male was to get women to uphold the illusion of the strong black male image. It promotes success for the male ego to be seen in a light of strength when in actuality he sees himself as defeated. He needs a woman who is a willing participant to sacrifice herself to uphold the illusion. Back in the 90s, Shahrazad Ali produced her book, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. This book detailed how to use black women to salvage his image and ego. She recorded a homemade video with a poem rap song at the beginning. Here are the words to this poem. Look at me. I'm the black man. Me and my woman are lost, traveling in a strange land. I'm having it hard and my future looks bland. And no, I don't expect you to understand. I doing bad for all to see, but all this universe belongs to me. And I plan to get on the right track as soon as I get my woman back. The poem says two things. One, the woman is the reason he is unsuccessful. Two, he needs the woman to use as a stepping stool to not be doing so badly. Now, if this is the case, which it is, exactly what does the woman need him for? She can do bad by herself. His bad habits that cause him to be a failure will only be carried over into the relationship, which will burden the woman even more. Have you experienced having more burden with a man present and less burden when he's absent? I know I have. I have, okay? Um, okay. If so, this is why. Patriarchy is an artificial system. It is a wheelchair ramp for males. White men created this wheelchair ramp for themselves and largely left black males out of it. Black males felt this lack of privilege and decided to use black women as stepping stools to boost himself in comparison to the white male. The pro black philosophy is riddled with males who are struggling with their own natures. They're not biologically wired to lead or carry large amounts of responsibility. The white man's boys club, created a network of opportunities they hoarded for themselves and passed down to their buddies. Most often, their buddies were not qualified. It's they're saying most deals are made on the golf course. It's not what you know, it's who you know. So the boys didn't actually need skills, they needed connections. Connections not afforded to black males. The major responsibilities of those networks were built on the on the shoulders of black. The major responsibilities of these networks were built on the shoulders of white women. White men needed white women to advance their levels in which they've advanced. Outside of the business of slavery, white women are largely responsible for the successes of white males, even though they've been mostly overshadowed by them. The white males' patriarchal philosophy and structures did not pass social, political, and economic power down to the black male. It still stroked and inflated his ego. He adopted the idea of men being the leaders and heads of the household. He also adopted the idea that God being a male. Because he attempted to emulate white males and overshadow their women, he effectively destroyed his own power source, black women. The black male's original way was underneath the worship of the woman, matriarchy, and matrilineal structures in line with nature. He abandoned this way and began to adopt the ways of the white male without complete comprehension of the philosophies of the white male. Without their wheelchair ramps of patriarchy created by white men for white men, and the power source of the black woman, the black male found himself isolated, disempowered, and a complete victim of circumstance. Because of this, the pro black movement became all about him. This male will guilt trip you and get you to buy into the idea of saving the black community. He wants you to place him on a pedestal and be the wheelchair ramp white males won't let him use in a white male patriarchy. Okay. Baby, don't be no wheelchair ramp. Okay. Her advice, Princela's advice is this era is dead. We are in a state of rising consciousness that is technology and female centered. It does not benefit you to carry racist, colorist, or sexist philosophies. Do not volunteer to be his wheelchair ramp. Allow him to sink or swim, and either he makes it on his own or he fails. His failure is not your responsibility, nor is it your fault. Baby, she busting bubbles. So I am going to continue. We are on chapter 28. What y'all think? She tripping. She said, don't you be that man wheelchair ramp, okay? Y'all out of control. Chapter 28, the I'm bored wife no fun. The I'm bored wife no fun. This is the I'm bored wife no fun man. Child. I'm just thinking, I know this man. The I'm bored wife no fun man. So he out there seeking fun in the streets. Child. It's always a man out there telling a long story about how he went happy with a woman and then not wanting to split the assets that him and this woman got together. But I digress. I digress. So this is chapter 28, the On Board Wife No Fun Man. And we're going to put it up on the screen. Familiarity breeds contempt. And it's an African proverb. They say women are from Venus and men are from Mars. There may be a lot of truth to that given the fact that Mars once was a thriving planet of resources just like Earth and is now completely uninhabitable. Leave a male in your home for a week or two alone and you may come back to an uninhabitable place. Also, males have no comprehension of higher love frequencies. On top of that, masculine energy is a motivating, on top of that, masculine energy is a moving energy. And it needs to keep going. Because of that, males can easily bore. They can easily bore of routine and lack of activity. When the wife is not adventurous, she can become complacent and lack life force energy that inspires the male to move. When this happens, male will end up and seek a thrill. Typically, that thrill will be with another woman. There's nothing more exciting to a male than engaging in behavior that is taboo or secretive. This brings life back into his being. When a male is stagnant and not moving, he feels like the end is near or his mortality is catching up to him. So, it is necessary that he finds something that reignites the twin flame, that reignites the flame within him. This is where you may be used as that flame. Sex is fun to men. It is not something that they use to love a woman in the overwhelming majority of cases. Sex is fun because it triggers the reward system in their brain when they chase or play the game to get it. There's also nothing more than being with a new person who takes an interest in who you are, your hobbies, and your interests. The wife has typically grown too familiar, become bored, disinterested, and too busy to take an interest in her husband the way she did at the beginning. Males are codependent by nature and need constant attention and reassurance. They lack the ability to provide this for themselves. Therefore, once you slack on this, he will desperately seek outside of himself to get this attention and reassurance. This guy could tell you he's married or he could lie to you. You won't know unless you pay attention to how he moves. Most males will not be monogamous. If he has good looks, money, and a decent personality, there's a strong chance that you are not the only one. If the majority of the time you two are having fun and there's not much weight placed on you, then chances are you are someone he is having fun with, but is not planning on uprooting his life for. It is not impossible. You are the only one, but it is highly unlikely. Here's a confession I found on Reddit. My wife is boring, and I think that I will end up cheating on her. We've been married 5 years now, and sex has always been a problem. She never wants to try anything new. She always is tired. She's not in the mood. I'm the one working 40 plus hours a week so that she can just stay home and watch the kids, but yet I can't even get a BJ when I get home tired. When I get tight. When I get home tired. I have to beg for a simple kiss. I can't even touch her unless she's in the mood, which never happens. She doesn't want to go on dates because no one is good enough to watch the kids or why waste money. She's tired. Excuses after excuses. We have kids between 2 and 5, so I get that she can be tired, but every single day, not trying to be selfish, but how am I supposed to stay in love with someone I'm never intimate with? How am I supposed to be attracted to someone who doesn't even try to be attractive? How am I supposed to look at younger, more attractive women and not be tempted? How am I supposed to look at an opportunity to have sex, be intimate, have an exciting relationship, and say no? Side note, as you see, males despise the responsibility and all that comes with it. There are no days off with children between the ages 2 and 5, not to mention in addition to an adult child. I'm tired of not being able to talk to her about anything other than the kids, money, and cleaning. I'm tired of having to watch porn and use my hands, if you know what I mean by that. I'm tired of this boring marriage And as much as I'm against cheating, I feel like that that's my only chance at a living something exciting without destroying my family. That's kind of harsh. Side note, he evidently has much more time on his hand than she does. She works 24/7 and has no outside help. He lacks the understanding of this. No, you can't trust everyone with your children. If you guys have any advice for me, that'll be great. Edit. I do help with the household chores when I get home from work. A lot of times I get in trouble because I don't clean the way she wants me to clean. Don't put stuff where she wants them to go. I just never do anything right. So at times I give up on helping a little bit, but I always do something. So no, I'm not this selfish guy who doesn't care about how busy, tired his wife is and just wants sex. Also, I know being a stay-at-home wife is a lot of work. When I said I'm the one working 40 plus hours a week so that she can just stay home and watch the kids, I meant that I work extra so she doesn't have to work a regular job on top of taking care of the house and kids. Monogamy is an unnatural setup. A nuclear family is also unnatural. These relationship and family dynamics place extreme pressure on both the male and female. It eliminates the support system and community that women have relied on since the beginning of time. It also isolates her and forces her to one, do all the work designed for multiple women to do with each other alone. Two, look at the male who is natural codependent parasite to help her. His predatory nature is to hunt, kill, hoard, leech, and not carry responsibility. By forcing both parties to be in anti-natural setups, it mentally breaks them both down and creates never-ending relationship problems. Monogamy and a nuclear family does not support nature of either party. The male does not have the brain capacity to handle large amounts of pressure and responsibility, and he will always seek women to do the mental, emotional, and responsibility heavy lifting, life forcing, heavy lifting, forcing square pegs into round holes is grounds for suicide, suicides, cheating, and domestic violence. Monogamy was set up to cater to the needs of a male. In nature, the vast majority of males would not survive. Monogamy prolongs his existence because it gives him access to women he wouldn't have in the wild. Women protect males from loneliness, health disorders, lack of sex, and other normal male threats. However, by catering to his needs in this way, you also destroy him in the process. There's no perfect world for the male. He's damned in nature and damned in the matrix. He suffers in nature and he suffers in an artificial environment. Since the average male and female are not the creators of patriarchy and the woman is largely ignorant of the male makeup, there is confusion and chaos created that communication won't fix. The communication will only continue to force both parties to go against their natures, which is the problem to begin with. The male is upset that she doesn't understand his needs to be rewarded with sex and fun in exchange for him going to work. And in nature, going to work is non existent for the reward of copulation. The male's idea of being rewarded with a woman's body for doing something beneficial to his own growth or slave labor to the ruling class is delusional. Working 40 plus hours a week is a man made system, and the woman's natural desire for sex is not triggered by the male's slaving for a system. Jobs were handed down to males in the wheelchair ramp of patriarchy to pacify them. Women were stripped of their right to provide for themselves and forced to depend on males for fiat resources. She was sold a dream of being a sex and domestic slave for the male. The male adapted to his artificial environment and began to expect these results, even though it goes against the nature of himself. Women were communal and had matrilineal family ties, which created support network for her. And women did not carry the burdens of all of the labors on her own. She also did not depend on males to help her in these areas. These duties were shared amongst the community. Everyone pulled their own weight. The nature of the woman is not to be continually penetrated regularly, and the nature of the male is not to have access to abundant sexual opportunities unless he is biological the fittest. Him being the fittest has nothing to do with going to work a 9 to 5 job given to him by an establishment. Both parties in this situation are ignorant of these realities and they are desperately trying to live in an inorganic, artificial life that they are both failing at. The male will not go against his nature very long. If there is an opportunity for sex and fun, he will seek it outside of this union. Familiarity breeds contempt. Living together creates major problems for the heterosexual couples. Seldom visit makes a longer friendship. Seldom visit maintains mystery and protects both parties from the dark sides of human nature. My advice, this is Prince Stella's advice. Stop trying to force monogamy and stop living with your partner if you are in fact a heterosexual setup. Men can live with each other and women can live with each other without major problems. However, men and women living together more often than not creates unbearable problems for both parties. He will cheat, he will lie, he will sneak, and he will fall short of critical obligations and duties. Reestablish your bonds between other women. Place yourself and your female relationship bonds above male needs. Also, do not allow the idea of marriage to cause you to lower your guard on safe sex. Males will set up, males will step out and bring you something back. Stop concerning yourself with whether or not you're going to hurt his feelings. He is not going to think twice about hurting yours if he wants a paternity test, married or not. That's deep. That's deep. Child. Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy. So, married and cheating, okay? So we're gonna go ahead. Well, I'm gonna stop. Let me stop. Let me see. I'm gonna stop at 30. I'm gonna read one more chapter. We are on chapter 29, and then we're gonna stop at 30. Chapter it's deep. 29. The insecure sabotage man. The insecure sabotage man. That's chapter 29. I did bully someone. I was insecure. And that's a quote by Matt Lauria. You are youthful, beautiful, career driven, and accomplished. You are everything to you are everything a man wants, but knows he is too unachieved and unaccomplished to deserve. Yet somehow he gets access to you. This male is not driven to you, but he because he likes you, wants to marry you or establish any long-term relationship with you. His entire objective is to conquer you and slow you down. He perceives you as a weaker vessel who believes you are better than him because of your accomplishments. You dominate in everything from financial gain, career, sex appeal, and charisma. You reign over him in so many ways, and he knows this. He knows he can't hold a candle to you, defeat or conquer you in any of those areas. He sees you are really, yeah. He sees you are really He sees you can really do everything he can do better. However, he knows he can do one thing you cannot do. He can effectively offer he can effectively alter the entire course of your life with one action. He knows he can and wants to throw a monkey wrench in your plans. Males believe that accomplishments And high financial achievements are areas for men to dominate and flourish. Therefore, if a woman is accomplishing and rising in this arena, she must be attempting to act like a man, take a place of a man, or compete with a man. This makes his chief intention to show you that you cannot do everything a man can do, and you will not rise higher than himself. So he effectively uses his penis as a weapon to slow down the trajectory of your life by giving you a baby to take care of. This is all ego behavior. Many times, the insecure sabotage man has no area in his life which he controls, dominates, or feels important. Therefore, the guy will not ever move to help you to take care of the child he intentionally gives you. He wants to establish an area in his life where he can have three of his crucial needs met, which is power, control, and a sense of importance. If he gives you a child and abandons you, and the child, more often than not, the woman will chase and beg him to do his part. This gives him a sense of power, control, and a feeling of importance. He enjoys dodging you. He enjoys the frustration he is causing you. He gets the power he was lacking. His actions are the cause of your pain, and his happiness and acknowledgement, it makes his ego feel so great when he can look at his friend and say, she is just mad because I don't want to be with her in a relationship any longer. The person who has the ability to reject and deny has power. He gains that power when he does this to you. This is one of the reasons they want you to be single with no support system. There's nothing better than a woman who has to cancel her plans to stop working, cancel her girls' trip, or to turn down a position of advancement because she has a child. If you are a career driven woman and you have high aspirations as well as being very attractive, you should always be aware, even if you are dating a male who appears to be on the same level as you, males are easily triggered to view you as competition. Why? The nature of a male is wired to compete to pass his genes along. It is deep within their biological nature to compete. You being a female does not assuage the trigger to compete. And males have a need to feel superior. So always keep that in the back of your mind that a male may use baby trapping to slow you down and so he can reign above you. I, not too long ago, dated seven-figure male. He owned a trucking company with 17 trucks in his fleet. He had been in business for 30 years. I dated him and worked for him. He was used to using his money and company to date young women and have manipulative power over them. Very happy with his ability to seem like Mr. Big Man. He would approach women flaunting his business as a way of being flirtatious. When he hired me and began to date me, he thought he could handle me in a similar way. Flash a carrot in my face, and I grovel at his feet. What he had quickly come to realize was my high level of intelligence in the trucking industry and his need for my assistance. It bothered him a great deal to feel like he needed a woman's help. Due to my 6 year long Class A experience and my military background in logistics, I was very knowledgeable about his industry. I could see where he was losing traction and control in his organization. This made him resent me and cause extreme jealousy and competitiveness towards me. Even though he made significantly more and lived longer than I, he was still intimidated by me and sought to sabotage his own workforce to cause me distress. He would start rumors, intentionally create conflict between other drivers and me, and hamper my work schedule. He would always tell me at random and odd times, "You might be smarter than me, but you are not as sharp as me." I will always ask him why he continues to act as if he's in competition with me. He could never answer. He tried to hurt me with his jealousy by removing me from the schedule and playing with my paycheck. He felt I couldn't go anywhere in the industry because of my childcare needs. He felt he sniffed out a weakness that he could use to his advantage. Needless to say, that relationship has long ended. I took my power back and big hurt his big ego when I walked away. I ghosted him for the second time and the last time. So Princella's advice is do not have children unless you want them and can fully take care of them on your own with your own support system. Do not allow male nature to poke out its ugly head to control and sabotage your life. And so that is mm, that's chapter 29, the insecure sabotage man. And I'm going to read chapter 30 just so we can stop there. Chapter 30 will be the last chapter because I'm sleepy and I'm finna go. So we're going to read it. This is the hospice care man, chapter 30. And the reason why I'm just going to stop here because I want to read what she has to say about the hospice care man. That's what I'm saying. Like, men to play games all day life and then be in hospice and want to settle down. Like, what? So you got to take care of them while they sick. The hospice care man. And this ain't for the men that have been married and it just didn't work. This is for the men that's been playing the field for a very long time. The hospice care man. Hospice means end of life care. The admission ticket is a diagnosis from a doctor that you have 6 months or less to live. And that is a quote by Eleanor Clift. An old man could come to you and say, I am your father. I'm sorry I didn't spend time with you, and now I want to build a relationship with you. If this happens, there is a strong chance he is sick, screwed up, plenty of relationships, and there needs someone to assist him with his life. His life is on the decline, and he will turn to children he abandoned or a new woman. There was a nurse on TikTok who spoke about men going into the stroke ward in their early 40s, and she spoke about how many of them were good looking and had good jobs. She further went on to say that she often asked them, where's your wife? She stated that the reply was most often, I've been a player and I never wanted to be locked down. She goes on to advise black men to wise up and marry a woman so she can take care of them. This is a revealing statement as well as a scenario. The nurse promoted the message as if women need to dig into the worst places to find a male to take care of while basing her decision on his job and looks. This is not the 1930s. Women are not in need of basic necessities that only the law at one point prevented women from providing for themselves. The male in this scenario admitted never seeing the need for a wife to take care of him. In this statement, he reveals the only purpose of a man has for a woman is for him to suck the life out of her and use her to fulfill a need he cannot fulfill on his own. The male's expiration date would be a lot sooner if it weren't for women extending their lives with their help. Extending the male's life expectancy has caused great problems for males and the planet. In 2009, ABC News made a report detailing men's risk of stroke rising dramatically in the mid 40s. This is interesting because the nurse made her alarming TikTok video in the latter part of 2022. This affirms what ABC News reported in the article, according to Dr. Michael Palm, assistant professional of neuroscience and experimental therapeutics in internal medicine at Texas A&M Health Science Center College of Medicine. The risk factors are most of the ones we start thinking about in older people, mostly cholesterol, but also smoking, high blood pressure, and diabetes. It is also noted that the odds of a stroke increase when men reach their 40s, and silent strokes are most common in this group of men. Dr. Roger Bonomo, director of stroke care at Lenox Hill Hospital in New York City, stated this is identifying a trend towards risk factors becoming more like older people in men in their 40s. Kevin Samuels, pseudo intellectual relationship guru, popularized the common sayings, you'll die alone by a cat and winter is coming. While the manosphere in general popularized, you're going to hit the wall. This all speaks of a woman who was beautiful and gorgeous, able to float through life, and then one day she gets old and no man is sexually attracted to her anymore. This is beyond interesting because if winter is coming and hitting the wall is happening for anyone, it will be the male. He knows this and desperately wants women to experience the life he lives of rejection and loneliness. There was another woman on TikTok who warned about women to look out for becoming a hospice care wife. These males who know they are going to die already and they seek out a woman to marry so they can leave all of the medical bills and debt to her while also having company and someone to take care of them in the meantime. There have been women left with large medical bills because of the males they married who were the true damaged goods. My advice, and this is Prince Seller's advice, get rid of the fairy tale idea of marriage. Financially protect yourself and do not fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Be sure to investigate how well he cares for himself because if you don't, you will inevitably become his caretaker. If that is what you want for your life, by all means indulge. My suggestion to those who see yourselves as natural caretakers, please choose plants, animals, sea life, and children to care for, not overgrown adult males who add no value, have added no value, and will not add any value to society. So we just completed chapter 30, The Hospice Care Man in the 41 Shades of Me. This was just so deep, y'all. I'm like, baby, it's giving hospice care, man. Okay. I don't know. We on chapter 30. It's 41 shades, and then I just don't understand. It's like, dang, you did all these and you done went through your life, and then you have a stroke, and it's 41, 44 chapters. You have a stroke, and you end up needing a woman to take care of you until you go. That's just like strong energy. And if you're a natural healer, you might not mind. But any woman that has experienced freedom, true freedom, then you won't really want to tie yourself down to caring for somebody else because if you've been in a relationship where you was caring for a person and they never showed you appreciation or reciprocity. And so this is just deep. I'm gonna stop here because now I got a lot to think about. And so we're gonna pick back up at chapter 31 the next time I read. I'm not gonna say, oh, tomorrow. Whenever I read next, we'll be here. And we're gonna read 31 up to 41, and then we'll finish the book off. This is just deep, y'all. All these men. So today I just wanna go back to what we covered. We covered the 41 Shades of Men, chapter 19, the green card man. Then we went on to chapter 20, the let me make my ex jealous man. Then we went into chapter 21, which is the pimp man. Then chapter 22, which was the businessman. Chapter 23, the political man. Chapter 24, the bar man. This is the man that marries for extra money in the military. And then you have chapter 25, the murder man. Um, coming in to kill your spirit. And then we go on to chapter 26, which is the fetish man. He just got a fetish. And then 27, the pro black hotep man. The man that is really deep, but still using you. And so then we have the I'm bored man. My wife is no fun. So he go out and seek validation of outside sources. And then we have chapter 29, the insecure sabotage man. So he coming in to sabotage you by giving you a baby. And then we have chapter 30, the hospice care man, the man that has reached his 40s and had some kind of incident to where now he thinking about getting married because he's sick. I didn't know it was a bunch of work. Yeah, I'm going to go though, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed tonight's live. We're an hour and 29 minutes in. I'm going to get out of here. Peace and power. And I'm out. And I'm out. And I'm out.